Just refreshing the page so that it appears. And it is shared. All right, we can start now. Akash, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Not any quick updates on my side. I just tried running the CRC32C function, the new one that Mega shared yesterday, but got some NIF errors. And apart from that, I'm waiting for Fernando's PR to be merged so that I can work on the Beacon API get header issue.
All right, yeah, that works. Let's try to debug the NIF issue as quick as possible because I think that that's something that's blocking you. I'll try to see if I can find a quick root cause. It looks like a difference in versions regarding both Rustler and the Erlang version that we are using. I'll try to see if there's something that we can do. Yeah, we'll get back to you as soon as possible with that. All right, any other updates?
That's it.
Thank you. The next one is God's Power.
Good afternoon, everyone. Um, so yesterday I was able to get the hash tree route working. So it now works and I said yesterday I was going to work on intermediate steps, and I was able to achieve that. The tests that are running on ssz.rs are now running on our end. So that works perfectly. Today I want to add an optimization, which is kind of the lowest hanging fruits because it has to do with um, instead of hashing a set of zeros, we use pre-computed values, which makes it a lot faster because those values are known beforehand, and adding of these chunks are something that happens very often. So I want to change the algorithm a bit to allow that, and I should yeah, and it's also open for review right now. So yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'm very glad that you were able to make it work. That's awesome. It was definitely not a trivial PR. Regarding the optimization that you want to do, are you able to start issues? Because maybe you can write an issue with that, describing the kind of work that you want to do, just so that we are able to track it and also that we are able to discuss. Like if the I would think that yes, that it seems like you have it very studied, but I would like to at least know what it's about. I'm not very aware of it. So if you can start an issue, if you have permissions for that, go for it. And if not, I will start the issue and we can continue the discussion over there and you can put the details. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, yeah. I'll start an issue. Start an issue.
Thank you. Yeah, it's mostly to keep track of everything and so that we know what everyone's working on. Thank you. Congratulations on getting the merchandization for the lists working. That's awesome. The next one is Fernando.
Yes. For my part, yesterday I came back to the PR about the schemas of all the containers. I strap all the types in a single file called type aliases, so we can change that easier in the file. Yeah, and commit that to the PR, so it's also ready to review.
That's awesome. I will re-review it. What about the Beacon API one? Was that ready for review as well?
Which one? So,
The Beacon API one, the one that you
yeah,
were working on. Oh, awesome.
yeah, so,
Maybe you gave that update today and I just forgot. But thank you for that. That's awesome. I will review both of those as soon as I finish unblocking a cache.
yeah, thank you. With that, I don't have another issue. I don't know, there's another priority issue to tell you.
Yeah, I don't have one on top of my head, but I've been opening a couple of issues the last couple of days, so we can take one of those. I'll get back to you as soon as the meeting finishes.
Great, thank
Let me just take note on this. Thank you. That's it. The next one is Martin.
Yeah, so for me, after removing all the hard-coded reference to the fork digest or fork context, I configured the Sepolia network, and it wasn't working at the beginning. And so I was debugging if the fork digest was wrong somehow. I compared it with Lighthouse, but it was correct. So then after all, like, talked to Mega, and turns out that there was some hard-coded for digest in the Go code still. So I'm working on removing that hard-coded stuff. But yeah, I just tested changing that for digest to the one for Sepolia, and it works. We are getting blocks. So yeah, that's the last step for that, and we'll have that new configuration, which I think it's probably more lightweight to run. So at least we are gonna be able to bypass some of the performance issues we have now. Though the only problem is I think that network is gonna upgrade to the new hard fork soon. So we'll have to start working on that as well. That's the point.
That's awesome. The great thing about it is that it will enable us to test the new hard fork beforehand, which is awesome. That's extremely important. So thanks for taking that work. The next one is Tomas.
Okay, yesterday I worked on fixing some of the open PRs I had. They had some issues I took care of. And after that, I tried to improve the PR about changing the store object to no longer store blocks and states. With that, I was kind of locked. I talked with Tomas about it, and I think I helped him too with his idea about concurrent issues, about concurrency in the node, and he also blocked me that I was wondering how to model the interface of the new store. And now I have a more clear idea, so we'll start working on that today. And I also yesterday I added some metric for the length of the message queues of some processes. The total and minus 2 processes, and then the message length of each of those single processes. It should be useful for debugging. Once you see your node crash, you can just easily see an image like the one I left in the PR that shows the message queue going up until the node exploded. It's something that shouldn't happen in production, but when debugging, seeing it so easily, it's good. That's my update.
That's awesome. New metrics are always welcome. And yeah, it's always good to see where exactly the memory issues are, like either on the size of the processes or in the queues. So I think it's a great piece of progress. Thank you. The next one is Mete.
Hello, everyone. I've been working on the stopped execution client part for my mock execution. I've done some more reading about the engine API to refresh the things there, and I'll work on that one today. And the other things is that my metadata issue is still waiting, and the get state root by root is added, and it's ready to be reviewed. I'm waiting for those to be reviewed. By the way, I've seen your comments, Martin, on the metadata part, but the thing is that I've added the specs configuration there. So can you check it please afterwards?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
I also reviewed the metadata issue yesterday, the PR. I will see if there's any new changes, but
I've fixed those as well.
As for me, that's good to be merged. So if I will just check it again, and if if nothing critical changed, then we can just merge it. Thank you for the changes on that. That's a good one.
Okay.
And yeah, the first gen server is always tricky one. So congrats on that one. Yeah, let me just take note on this. Data, we are waiting for review. Awesome. I also saw that you had a couple of questions on the engine API one. I will do two things. On the one hand, I will send you some documentation, although you probably already found some. I don't know if you saw the section in the Days to book about the engine API, but it's very concise and small. That might be a good starting point. There's just 3 wrappers that we need. There's just 3 functions that the API has. So it's not like the Beacon API that has like, I don't know, 100 different endpoints. I'm exaggerating, but not that much. But the engine API literally has 3 calls. So so the mocked version shouldn't be like extremely complex. I think that the trickiest part of your PR is probably having the structure to sometimes call the mocked version and sometimes call the other one. But we can continue thinking about that after the meeting. So yeah, I'll answer your message in a couple of minutes. Okay, thanks for the update. I'm gonna give mine next. I basically worked on 2 things yesterday. The first one was I continued the work on reviewing the roadmap. When I say reviewing the roadmap, it's basically I'm just going through every point in the roadmap, making sure what we finished and what we didn't, and the things that we didn't, like trying to see specifically what's missing. So I'm also like reviewing some of the specs just to make sure that what parts we're missing, etc. Which after like, when did we start this project? Maybe 6 months ago. So it's always nice to have a retro at some point. We're pretty good in progress. We're just missing a couple of parts. But I'll try to have this either today or tomorrow. The other thing that I was working on yesterday is getting the concurrency POC a little bit more tidy. So I wrote down some documentation. I started a PR with that, so anyone can see if you want to. We started with a new idea for concurrency, which is having 1 process per block. I wouldn't go into details in this meeting because it's too long, but you have this documentation if you want to check that. And now that we have discussed a little bit of that, I will actually start coding a small POC so that we can, I will incrementally start adding things that will help get that in place. And that should help us unlock some of the issues that we've been seeing about queues getting too big because like blocks cannot be processed until a state transition is working, and they cannot be discarded as well, even if they are invalid, because they are not looked into if a state transition is happening and stuff like that, or attestations might time out or stuff like that. So this should help all of those issues and also simplify the model. But it's still something that we need to test and see how that goes. I think that the biggest disadvantage or possible problem with this is testing, like making sure that spec tests still pass. I think that that's something that we can achieve, and it's not a task that's too difficult. We just need to figure out how. But we're in control of the spec tests, so we can just adapt them to our new model. We just need to make sure we understand how it works. Yeah, I think those are my 2 updates. I will continue working on both of those things today, and also review all of the PRs that we mentioned today and try to unblock first a cache which is more for an urgent issue, and then I'll focus on the rest of the things that you said in the meeting today. Yeah, those are the updates for me today. We have a question if we are going to have a workshop soon. Yes, not sure when, if this week or the next one, but definitely. Don't know what it will be about. It could be I have 2 options or 3 options. One of them is supervisors, which is a very interesting Elixir topic, mostly because Gen servers, I love Gen servers. I think that's one of the most interesting parts of Elixir. But if you don't have supervisors, you only have half of what you need. Supervisors are processes that supervise others, and if they die, they revive them, which is basically the most important fault tolerance mechanism that Elixir has. That's one option. Option two is we can pick some topic about the specs and we can discuss about it. Like, I don't know, we can get Randao, or we can get networking, like P2P, or we can get like, I don't know, shuffling, committee, optimizations. Like we can take any like specs related topic and we can do a poll on that. A talk on that. Or we can talk about like the concurrency model that we are, but I think that the concurrency model is probably something more good to talk about when it's finished and not now that it's in a very early stage. So yeah, do you have any ideas of what you would like to hear about? Anything goes, even if there's something that I didn't mention. And this is chat for everyone. So one of the comments I'm getting is seeing committees and its uses in building bridges. Oh, that's interesting. That's a hardcore issue, actually. Bridges are scary. I don't know that much about bridges, but I can do some research. Okay, let's continue. Yeah, maybe specs. Okay, sure. We can pick an issue on a topic on specs as well. Maybe the next two can be specs and supervisors, like in that order. Maybe I think that probably in the specs, some of the most important or interesting issues are like fork choice, maybe finality, stuff like more core stuff. Maybe we can start with that, and then we can like branch out to more, I don't know, more accessory or detailed things like how the committees are built and that kind of stuff. All right. I'll take that into account. Maybe next workshop is like fork choice and the next one is supervisors or something like that. If that sounds okay. Thanks for the reminder. Workshops are very important, so we will continue doing them. Okay, any final comments or questions aside from that one?
Yeah, so I have a question around the issue. So since the current PR I made will probably go through a couple of iterations based on comments, creating another issue to improve it might be a bit, I don't know. What do you think? Should I just wait till it's reviewed, or should I just pick another issue while it's being reviewed and go back to it later?
I think both, in the sense that we can write the issue and not start working on it, and especially if it's an optimization thing that we need to discuss or at least like be aware of. Having the issue to have that discussion is the optimal thing to do. And in parallel, like while we discuss the issue and the PR is reviewed, then at that time, while that happens, you can take another issue to work on in the meanwhile. Does that sound okay?
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. So I have a second. So it's more like just a comment and observation. So in SSZ.rs, they have an implementation for lists and vectors, but we mainly just have for list, right? And the way it's done in SSZRS is that there's a wrapper on top of either it's basically a struct with a name data, and both of them internally are both vectors, but they are two different entities. So I am thinking of scenarios where data might come in as vector and the mechanization of a list has something different than the mechanization of a vector. So I think that might be an issue, because if you mechanize a vector as a list, you get a different value, just a little change. And so I think maybe something we can think about is creating that wrapper and just doing the implementation differently and trying to mechanize them differently. So yeah.
Okay, yeah. Can you add an issue for that so that we can discuss it in an issue? I don't want to be too much of a bureaucrat, but I think that these are the discussions that we want to definitely keep track on. I think that at least in the library that Fernando was working on, that's probably not an issue, in the sense that each of the containers that we're working on have schemas, and those schemas specify exactly the type that we have, and that differentiates between vectors and lists, even if we represent them internally as lists in each case. in every case, or in AJA vectors like Mega is working on with the beacon state, like the validators list. So I think that might not happen with the new library. I'm not sure about the old one. I didn't see that issue like happen anywhere, but that still sounds concerning. So if you want to start an issue, we can have a discussion over there. That sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thanks for bringing it up. Okay, I think that's it for today then. Thank you everyone for joining, and see you all tomorrow.